Unless you live under a rock, you probably know that the first event in Palia, the Maji Market, has started just 1 month into beta access. And if you do live under a rock, hey, no judgment. So is the event worth your time? Is the Maji Market a masterful move or a major miss? Hi folks, I'm Aria, and if you're new to the channel, pull up a chair, pour yourself a cup of spiced sprout tea, and make yourself at home. So here we are, just 1 month after servers opened for beta. Wait, has it really only been a month? And we're on our second new content release. It came with new quests, of course, but also an entirely new section of the map and a whole event, the Meiji Market, with its own Chappa-themed items, quests, achievements, and rewards. Now that we've had a few days to sit with it, I wanted to share some thoughts on the event. Like pretty much every video I do, I'm not trying to create a comprehensive how-to guide on this event, because lots of other YouTubers do that way better and way faster than I ever could. I'm more concerned with why. Why should you or I spend our time on this event? Or, not spend our time on it. To start, let's take a look at what it is. In the southeast corner of the Kilima map, there's a road that used to run into an invisible wall. It still does, but now that invisible wall will teleport you to the fairground zone just down the road. I'm sure there's got to be some programming reason or server load reason why there's a teleport wall here instead of it being part of the same zone, but unlike the transition to Bahari, you stay on the same server when you cross here, and you can get to the location by going out of bounds just fine. So from a user experience standpoint, it feels a little weird to hit a loading screen to cover like 10 feet of path in the same zone when they could have just put a passage there. Now at 6 p.m. in-game time, a gaggle of some of the villagers will show up at the gate and they make their way into the fair. Some of them will be minding booths, and some of them are wandering around attending the fair. At 3 a.m., they pack up shop and start to make their way back to the gates. And at that point, the registers stop vending. You can catch them on their way out to talk or turn in a quest, but once they're gone, they won't be back until 6 p.m. If you're keeping track, yes, that means the event only runs for about 20 minutes at a time. Now, I thought that was pretty weird at first, but it gave me the chance to step away and do things like tend my crops without feeling like I was missing something. I do think that maybe 20 minutes isn't long enough though, since there's a 40-minute wait then for it to start up again. It does make lore sense for it to only run at night, but it would be nice if the booths still sold things during the other 40, or if it started earlier in the day, like noon to 3. Of note here, the presence of the villagers in the fairgrounds doesn't change their normal routine in the rest of the map. So if you've got regular quests to do, or you're running around at night trying to give out gifts, or you're just tired of the market, you don't have to track them back to the fairgrounds. You can just play normally. You'll find all the info about the event on this new event tab. They gathered together all the quests and achievements and items related to the event here in this one spot so you can more easily keep track of it. Now I think this tab is great. I wish every game would implement one of these. I'm not going to give you any spoilers on the market quests. It's a small story that just coincidentally also sends you all around the market to talk to people. It's really short, and you can probably do it in 2 or 3 market sessions. I mean, you probably could rush to do it in one, but it's worth stopping to talk to people along the way and to check out the booths. You get more lore and insight that way. The achievements are kind of the stand-in for the event quests that you're used to from other games. You can get some fun housing items as rewards from them, and except for the chase achievements, I was able to finish them all in a couple of days, so you've got plenty of time to do them at your leisure. Now, I have a real love-hate relationship with real fireworks. I love them, but they're terrible for animals and the environment and anyone who has trauma around explosions. Not to mention, they're a huge wildfire risk out here on the west coast where I live. So I'm always interested in alternatives like drone light shows and, yes, firework displays in games. There's only one big display here, but man, it's a doozy. Najuma is apparently a genius with explosive powders because this dragon rivals Gandalf's. It spells out Palia, it dances in the air, it rushes over the fairground, and then it dissipates into a galaxy of individual small bursts. The big display is triggered by playing drums. You have to play them several times close together, and you may have to hit each drum at least once. I tried just playing the pair on the docks for several minutes with no display, so you may need to play all of the others, or maybe I was just unlucky with my beats. You get a drum for your house as a reward for one of the achievements, but sadly, it's static and can't be played. Give us playable drums for our houses, sing 6. I do hope that we get more lore on their significance beyond just being loud enough to carry over the water with the fireworks barge. The Phoenix fireworks are beautiful too. Whoever worked on them, good job. People have already started using them to mark the location of flow trees and pallium in Bahari Bay, and I'm happy that we get the recipe. The only minigame is the Choppa Chase. There's a pen of the adorable little menaces, and they get loose for a few minutes, and you're supposed to run around and scoop them up and then run them back to their pen. You get 10 tickets for every Caddyshack-style gopher that you chase down. I think I liked this in theory more than in practice. This is the first sort of PvP competitive thing in the game, and the mechanics of it were okay, but some of the responses of the people were not. We all know that sort of toxic gamer stereotype that's based on a minuscule but vocal minority of actual players, and what I wasn't expecting was to find them in Palia. Like, bro, what are you doing in a community sim? If you're not going to share Palium and flow trees, why are you even here? What do you think you're going to get out of trying to play this as a selfish solo game? And these players were on display during and just after the chase. It's a very, very small number of them comparatively, but they're very mouthy. If they did well, then everybody else sucks, and we only existed for them to brag to. And if they didn't do well, then the rest of us are just spawn campers and cheaters, and if we were playing it right, then they'd have done better. I don't know the solution to these kind of players. I can't imagine they'll find much to hold their interest for long in Palia, so maybe the trash will take itself out in time. I think, like me, they probably came to Palia because they were curious to see what the X-Riot and Blizz devs had created. Now, I've never played any of these other cozy sim games that people compare Palia to, but I'm very familiar with the kind of games that Riot and Blizzard make, and this is definitely not like those. Yeah, but I'm getting off on a ranty tangent. Let's go back to the Choppa Chase. Being in a party didn't seem to mean anything. You don't get any bonus for being in a party, you don't all share catches or tickets, and the chase moves too fast to type to each other. And if you're partied with randoms, then you're probably stealing choppas from each other without even realizing it anyway, just because of all the running around. I did both with and without a party, and I didn't see any difference. If there's supposed to be a difference, maybe that's a bug, maybe that's something they'll fix. The chase itself is fun. I did see a few people saying that they couldn't seem to catch any. I know that the Europeans especially are having trouble with lag. I'm sure it doesn't feel great to run around and not get any at all if your reflexes aren't twitchy. But for most sessions, I managed to get a decent return, and on the second day I managed to get a Choppa plushie, so my best advice is just be persistent. As the event goes on, there will be less people competing, so it'll be easier for those players to manage to catch them. Making the one thing in the fair that's mostly luck also the one thing with the grindiest rewards and currency might not really count as cozy, but it's pretty easy to get the first round level of achievements that also reward tickets, so everybody should be able to get at least something, even if not everything. Now let's just smoothly burrow on over to the real reason for the fair. Capitalism. The in-game variety. Each booth has a selection of things to buy. I'm not going to go through them all in detail, but it's a collection of food and housing items for gold, plus the Choppa Chase rewards for tickets. The chase rewards are cute, but I was disappointed by the plushie I got. You can see here the thumbnail for it is definitely blue. Does this plushie look blue to you? I spent a solid 5 minutes debating which color I wanted, and then it wasn't even that color. It's still adorable, but since there are no object previews for placeable items, the icons really need to reflect the object accurately. And this was the second item I bought that night that didn't match its icon when I placed it. I bought a rug from the underground market, not the Maji Market, but the normal everyday underground, that was green and orange with a woven texture both on the ground in the display and in the icon in my inventory, and when I placed it, it was solid beige with no woven texture. The color combo from the market isn't even available in the modification station. For the amount of gold I spent on it, I was really disappointed to end up with what looks like a dirty dish rag instead of the cute carpet that was on display. We really, really need some kind of object preview. One note on the food from the booths. If you get the star version of a thing, you can place it in your home, so if you like the looks of them, just keep buying it until you get the star. It's all RNG. You only get a couple of recipes from the quests and achievements, so you won't be able to try for the star placeables after the event ends. And here's my haul so far from the achievements in the booths, after just the 1 week. I really hope that we get these Ormu mugs that were at the Choppa booth display at a future event. I'll probably buy more of these adorable little Choppa mugs. I need an entire set of them for place settings. I would buy these in real life too. Just saying, Sing6, you've got a great product idea here. Okay, that's the what, but is it worth your time? Even if all the things I've already mentioned aren't your speed, if you're enjoying the villager stories and background lore, don't sleep on this event. It's worth wandering through to chat with them a few times because you will get some very revealing information that isn't available back in the main village. Like,
spoilers!
And that's one thing that sets this event apart from the kind of game holidays that we're used to in other MMOs. A lot of other games may have world lore reasons for there to be a holiday or an event, but it doesn't usually really build on the lore characters much. Whereas this event is far more about the characters than the world lore. And I think that betrays a primary difference in the way that the developers are approaching this game in general, but it's really obvious with the market. The main point of this market is revealing more character lore. That's the only reason it exists. Game holidays are usually about packing in random gameplay loop grinding to drive up their behind-the-scenes player engagement metrics, but there's no gameplay loop for the Maji Market. The Chappa Chase runs for a couple minutes every hour, and that's it for repeating content. You get a quest line, some achievements, but there's nothing that requires several hours of daily grinding to get the goodies. And let's remember, this is only the second content drop. Second. And there's a new event. If they can maintain their bi-weekly content additions, that bodes really well for the game's retention. Now, this isn't a lot of content for a month-long event, but as I mentioned, bi-weekly. So there is another content patch partway through, so there might be progression of the story for the back half of the event. Look, I just really want to see Sifu drag Hasi into the market and Trish drag Jel to Rethstal, okay? And then for future markets, I hope that they add new things as well instead of repeating exactly the same thing, especially discovery things like the drums and the fireworks. So the answer to the question is yes, this event is worth dipping into. It's a little light on content, but it's good low-pressure fun. You know, Palia is cozy the way those New England hamlets in Lovecraft and Stephen King novels are cozy. There are more dark secrets than you can shake a flow lantern at, and that's what's keeping me hooked into this story. Some of that is on display at the fair. And I hope that we have frequent events, and I'm looking forward to seeing the in-world versions of Halloween and Christmas and whatever other holidays they create that aren't linked to real-world ones. Maybe our Halloween content drop will be the spooky Elderwoods and its terrible monster. You know, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to offer Hasi and a Chappa mug as a gift, and if you would like and subscribe, that would be really helpful to the channel too. I hope you have a very cozy day.